All right, so Juan came by to help us out with the 3D scanning and CAD work with the intakes and the front headlights and everything else. Everyone say hi, Juan. Yeah. Where do you teach at again?
So I teach at MICA in Baltimore. It's Maryland Institute College of Art, and I'm an industrial designer. I do lots of CAD and 3D scanning, but never on cool stuff like this, so I'm very excited.
I'm excited too because I tried to do CAD and I'm still learning, so I'm learning a lot, especially today. I've learned a ton as it is, so we're excited. We're just going around right now. We're 3D scanning anything that we can on the car that will help with modeling because he's not going to be here modeling, so he needs as much data as possible. So hopefully it all works out great. I'm sure he's got it handled, so hopefully my end's on point. I really need to get a more powerful laptop so I don't have to keep dragging my computer tower everywhere and just stacking it on stuff. So what I've done here is gone ahead and taken scans with a Creality 3D scanner. I believe it's the CV01 model. I don't remember, I'll put it in the description below. But anyway, I went ahead and scanned the front panels of the vehicle so that Juan can go ahead and use that data to make the headlight surrounds, the center grille, and other bits up front that are really necessary to make sure that this front end ties together in time for the show. As I'm filming this right now, we have, 28 days left, I believe, or 27, I think it's 27. I don't want to think about it. Either way, I'm working on just bouncing around the car and getting everything sorted out so that this will be done in time. Logan's not here yet, and that's okay, so I'm just filming this myself this way. I feel like it's like a whole vlog style thing. I don't normally shoot it like this or for YouTube. Normally it's over on TikTok, but either way, we're rolling along, and hopefully today this will be an epoxy. Hopefully. Woo! I've also gone around the whole vehicle and put tape marks everywhere labeling things I need to do. Now, looking at this vehicle as a whole with everything that needs to be done in time for epoxy, it's a little overwhelming, so I went ahead and just broke it down while these scans are processing on what each individual thing needed to be done, so then I can just get it done and peel that sticker off, or tape off rather, and then we'll have a nice path moving forward. I'm gonna start in one corner probably and just work my way around until it's all done. There's some things I can't do that entirely with, but either way it's gonna help me stay organized because it's a little overwhelming and there's just so much to do. Have I mentioned overwhelmed yet? I'm not really worried about getting it done. I'm just worried about getting done as fast as I can so we have the most time to do the paint work at the end because it's gonna be critical. So I'm gonna stop talking and I'm just gonna start doing it. Trying to get the taillight gap right. Get out of the way. It's always scary slicing in and out and not. I'm afraid I'm gonna ruin something in the process. So that's pushed back the whole way. Okay. I guess I have adjustment back there too. I don't think I've ever adjusted one of these taillights from here before. That's what I could do is tap that down a little bit. Actually, it looks like it kind of needs to be tapped down a little bit. Better. Pretty much bottomed out now. Let's try it now. Oh, you know what? I wonder if that needs to tap that way. Getting better, but still not there. not sure this is gonna work or not. So I'm gonna give it a try. That's what I do know. That's a lot better. I think that's it. If I screw it down here, it's gonna be a nice line underneath that. And this needs finished out anyway, so. Firmly grasp it in your hands. All right, cool. One more thing off the list. It's going to be very tight.
Wide body things.
Yeah, wide body things and small paint booth door things.
Yep.
Which I prefer a small paint booth door because I don't want to paint anything big.
Correct.
All right, we're good here. We're good that side.
Yeah, we're good on this side. Go.
All right, so it's tomorrow now. We pulled a very long day yesterday to get the car into epoxy primer, and it is an epoxy primer now. This is exciting. Now, the downside to it being an epoxy primer is that now we see all the little things that we may have missed. I knew going into this that I may possibly miss a couple things, but there's one major thing that is really bothering us I'm going to address now quickly, and then I'll touch it in with more epoxy, and then tomorrow begin doing the filler work. Now, what happened was, on both quarter panels, the wheel arches kind of migrated a little bit. Now, I wanted them to be kind of hunched forward a little bit, but they went a little bit farther than I intended. This is, again, the downside to not having a buck and just going, you know, through the paces here of designing this and shaping this on our own without having a wooden buck or any other kind of buck. And if you're not familiar with what a buck is, basically it's a guide that you use where if you were to say I was copying this panel, I would take measurements convert it into a wooden buck, which is like a wooden wire frame of sorts, or like think of like those Jurassic, like the T-Rexes you could assemble as a kid, the puzzles that are made out of wood. Similar kind of style thing that you could then layer panels on and make sure everything is exactly to spec as you want it to be. Now we will be doing that from these panels when this vehicle is done, but before that, we just kind of did it out of clay and took measurements and went off that. So when I put these quarter panels on, I think that when these pieces were being welded together, it's moved forward just a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm adjusting this arc right here to flow where I wanted it to actually flow. It just cut down a little bit too low. And then also, right here, this arch is a little bit farther forward than I had wanted, and I didn't really notice it until now because the car has not been down on its wheels much at all until this very moment. Especially this is the first time things really been down on its wheels since I've welded everything onto the vehicle. So yeah, live and learn. We all make mistakes, and I'm not gonna hide them from you guys, so here we are. So what I did was I went ahead and used the laser level across the axle center, made sure the car was level, and then I took measurements every 60 millimeters up the arch, and then measured into the rim, or the lip of the wheel rather, the distance on both sides of the vehicle so I can compare. The other side is how I want it to be. This side is, I don't know if it was when I turned this edge in to kind of roll it for the clearancing the tire or whatever. I'm not sure what it was. It might have been that. Either way, it kind of walked forward a little bit. So what I'm going to be doing is I took these measurements. I'm going to cut this edge, and I'm going to push it back to be where it's supposed to be off the measurements, and then weld it, and then dress up the welds and re-epoxy that area. Not really a huge deal, but it would be a huge deal later on when we were like, oh man, we got the filler work done and now it looks a little wonky. So again, live and learn, right? So it's all in epoxy now. This is a huge deal. Honestly, when we sprayed it the other night, was it 2 nights ago now, Logan? We sprayed it? Yeah. It was like bittersweet because I didn't really want to cover up the metalwork, but it also needed to be covered up so we could go up through paint. So bittersweet, but still exciting. For those of you who do not know what epoxy primer is, it's basically a primer that's made to go directly into large areas of bare metal. Other primers that you would see to finish out before paint aren't really made to go directly to metal. They can go directly to metal, but not in big areas. It's typically, like, rule of thumb, I believe, is like anything larger than like a softball should have epoxy primer. Also, I do not like to put filler over top of bare metal. Some fillers, like even the Platinum Plus that we use, it states that you can go directly to bare metal, but I'd rather have another barrier between filler and bare metal as a just-in-case thing. Epoxy primer will keep water and other moisture out of the panel. It's very sticky, so it really adheres well, and it'll just kind of help with the longevity of the paint job. So that being said, what's next is to go ahead, we're gonna skim coat the car with filler and buzz it down to basically no more filler left, hopefully, until it's straight. That's kind of like the workflow that I found works best for doing like large custom projects or restorations. The goal is obviously to have as little filler as possible, but as you can tell, it is not 100% laser perfect. It's pretty close. Some areas a little rougher than others that I couldn't get rear access to, but that's the name of the game, and hopefully we can skim it down to, you know, like a credit card's width or less of filler here and there and be good to go. And then it'll get spray poly on top of that will block straight, and then it'll get the regular primer, or maybe just straight to sealer depending on how the spray poly ends up. And then we'll go through paint. So hopefully by the end of the next video, we'll have the bodywork done on the actual body itself. I also need to finish making the bumper and other pieces. Now we have some friends coming by, they're gonna help us with blocking the car. So you'll probably see them in the next video. And yeah, I think that's it for this video, right, Logan? So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let's say eat your Wheaties. Eat your Wheaties this week, unless, you know, you have a gluten intolerance. As always, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys Saturday now. Later.